people take a look at how governments around the world have responded to the coronavirus, it's those draconian Singapore, China, North Korea authoritarian governments that people are giving all the praise in the world. Man, you know, the way China was taking fish nets, like pole fish net, like, you know, pole with the fish net you clean the swimming pools with, and putting it over people's heads to force them to wear a mask. You're going to wear a mask in China, goddammit. So there's authoritarian, draconian, fascism, state power, statism, strict authoritarian dictator, totalitarian dictatorship. They said to wear a fucking mask, you're going to wear a goddamn mask whether you like it or not. So far in Colorado, there have been 391 deaths of coronavirus. That feels like the flu probably is more. There's thousands that die of the flu. So more people in Colorado have died of the flu than have died of the coronavirus. 391 deaths, however, that is, you know, unfortunate. And if it can be prevented, then we should prevent it. And there's been over 9,000 cases. So recently, it's been charged that Jared Polis is a Nazi. Right? Oh, it's like Gestapo. He's like the Gestapo with the secret Nazi police. And Jared Polis being a gay man, a gay Jewish man, those were the targeted identities against, you know, Hitler was against gay folks and we're against the Jewish folks. So he says, that's anti-Semitic. You can't even, how dare you even level that charge against me? And, you know, it's rhetoric. The far left says, you know, Stalin, or the far right says the far left is Stalin, and the far left says the far right is Hitler. So those are the extreme authoritarian versions of communism and capitalism. So Jared Polis, let's review, he went ahead and issued an executive order, stay at home, you know, except for essential services, shut down half the businesses in Colorado. We have to work in order to live in this country. The stimulus check can only, you know, last for so long if you qualified for it. Homeless people, I don't know if they filed their W-2s or not. So Jared Polis has deployed the National Guard to Colorado's 3 largest nursing homes. So grandma's in lockdown with other elderly by bayonet, by gunpoint. So they say it's to help with testing. So Jared Polis mandated by executive order, all people working in the public must wear a face mask while on the clock, including pharmacies, liquor stores, and cops. There's a drive-through Colorado Springs testing site that was established in Colorado. You can take a walk in Colorado, but you can't shake hands with your neighbors. You can drive to the local supermarket, but you can't drive to New Mexico. You can cross-country ski, yeah, but no downhill skiing, no. CPR, the Colorado Public Radio, had reported that in Colorado we don't have to worry about going to jail. If somebody saw us wash our hands for 20 seconds, say for example, instead of the, you know, CDC recommended 30 seconds, is that worthy of going to jail? In Colorado, that's a maximum fine of $1,000 and 1 year in jail. You didn't wash your hands for more than 20 seconds. Okay, people are like, okay, yeah. He's got all these really draconian, authoritarian, which is what they're saying, right, when it says Nazism. They probably shouldn't use that rhetoric because then they get all political science. Well, technically, you know, Hitler's Nazism was like this and was like that, so no, I am not literally a Nazi. That's not really what they're saying. They're saying it's authoritarian, and it's fascism, and it's draconian, and it's totalitarianism, and you can see how, you know, this martial law lockdown kind of situation persists. We don't want to get used to a nation like this. We're doing, you know, I like it that it's voluntary because we're on our own accord doing what we're supposed to be doing. So it seems like we could strike a balance here. Pass all these executive orders telling everybody to stay home, but, you know, be lenient and just sort of use common sense and good judgment. So you're saying, okay, it's a maximum of $1,000. Yeah, you could go to jail for a year or for $1,000, you know, get a $1,000 fine if you don't wash your hands for 30 seconds. If you only wash your hands for 20 seconds, you're, you know, I don't know, I guess in private and public, and somebody, you know, calls the law on you, Well, you got, witness testimony saying you're not doing your part to fight the coronavirus. So, yeah, okay, maybe he's passing, and they're not going to enforce it, right? Well, they're enforcing it. So, April 15th, 2020, this is Fox News, but I saw other outlets run it too. But, the Republican channel, they have a self-interest to pointing out the shit that's happening in Colorado. So this was 3 days ago. It was reported that in Steamboat Springs, this April 15th, 2020, 3 guys who were hanging out at a friend's apartment were arrested. Some turncoat snitch neighbor had called the law on the 4 men congregating in the privacy of their friend's residence after the snitch neighbor had tried to get them to leave. So you got this asshole, right, apartment complex, what the fuck ever. 3 guys are coming to hang out with another guy. What's the big fucking deal? Who gives a shit? Neighbor says, hey, Jared Polis said something about, what, you can't have. First of all, we got the First Amendment, so we have the right to peacefully assemble out in public, let alone inside our own homes. They want to go with the public health order and get all, again, this is terrible. Okay, so let's carry on. What happens in Steamboat Springs? This is the tide is turning. It was all fun and games when we were like, okay, let's do it voluntarily, but these laws are now on the books, meaning that the local police can arrest people if they say, hey, you're not abiding by, the coronavirus, all these fucking, how many laws has he passed? 1,000? I mean, what has, so anyways, Steamboat Springs, this is Colorado. You got Ryan Albert, Travis Petit, Joseph Thompson were all arrested for failure to comply with the public health order. So you had this asshole who's in this neighborhood complex, this apartment complex or subdivision or what have you. The cops come up and they say, hey, not the cops, but let's say the cops did come up and the cops are meeting together. What if the cops are congregating? So you got, old Joe Billy Badass out there. Hey, cops, you got to listen to the damn, governor. You got to listen to the governor and the public health order. And this is in the privacy of your own home, so this isn't just, the First Amendment, this is the Fourth Amendment. This is, so many rights and freedoms are being taken away. So it's all fun and games, but, it turns out those bullshit, petty little fucking laws, cops can get away with murder. That's totally, fine and dandy. The grand jury will bury that shit. But don't you dare not wash your hands for 20 seconds. Don't you dare walk outside without a goddamn face mask. Don't you dare go visit your friend and, enjoy their company and socialize and watch TV together in the privacy of your own homes. Don't you fucking dare. It's pretty authoritarian. It's pretty draconian, which is what they're saying about the whole Nazism thing. So what happens? Failure to comply with the public health order, they are arrested. They didn't live in Steamboat Springs, so that's fantastic. Local law enforcement is discriminated against outsiders. Oh, you're not from around here. Well, we're actually from, Denver. Well, that's even worse. That means you're Denver trash. We're going to throw your ass in jail, you Denver trash, bringing your Denver coronavirus shit here. They didn't live in Steamboat Springs. Robert Reeves did live in, this is the main guy. Robert Reeves is the one who invited 3 friends over and, was breaking the law like, wild, vicious criminal. He's charged with 3rd-degree assault for some reason and obstructing a peace officer. So did he attack the police officer? Did he attack one of the other? Did he attack that snitch neighbor whose name we don't even, who the hell even started all this? I don't know. He's already blended into the background. And who are the police? We don't even know the police's name. So we just got the people that were victimized by the police. But the guy, Robert Reeves, wasn't arrested, so I'm not sure exactly what went down there. But the local wasn't arrested. He did get charged with some crimes. The 3 men that were arrested were released on bond after spending the night in jail. So they posted bond, I don't know how much, $500,000. There's another fucking bullshit. You better give me $500. We won't let you, get out of jail. So Robert Allen, Travis Petit, Joseph Thompson, they're all, eventually freed the day after because they were able to post bond. Now, let's think about the logic of this thing. You got these dirty-ass cops. Do they have face masks? Do they have gloves? And then with gloves, you touch this and you touch that, and then, you have to throw those gloves away all the time because if the more things that you touch, if you touch one thing and touched another, like you didn't really protect, the outside world, you protect your hands. But if the virus was there, you just, spreaded it over there. A lot of police officers and first responders and nurses and doctors are dying of coronavirus. So to force this quarantine on people by bayonet, by gunpoint, by force, we're thinking, chucking people into jail, that's going to be better. The jail is a petri dish. If I ever saw one, the war on so many non-violent fucking people are in jail. Didn't hurt anybody, no victim whatsoever, but because some asshole, so they're going to, jail is a petri dish if I ever saw one. They have numbers that are underreported, but they're saying there's all these 700 in Rikers Island and Alcatraz, I don't know, just a whole bunch. So you got, what a bunch of bullshit. What an absolute bunch of bullshit that these cops are going to put their hands on these 3 guys inside the privacy of this guy's home. So they're laying hands on these men who didn't do anything wrong, didn't harm anybody, didn't steal, didn't rob, didn't just hanging out watching TV or whatever the hell they were doing, smoking pot or telling, a bunch of, I don't know, stories, just telling each other, stories from the good old days. I don't know. Whatever the hell they were doing, they're allowed to do in the privacy of their own homes. The stupid-ass fucking neighbors being a dick calls the law on them. Now the law has to, essentially look into the thing, but they didn't have to carry through with it, right? So what a bunch of bullshit. What an absolute, they're going to throw all these, to put their hands on them, so cops are dying, they're spreading the coronavirus, going to place, putting hands on people, throwing them into jail, so if those 3 guys now get the coronavirus, they can sue the cops because the cops literally led to their death. So they're acting like we're going to save you from the coronavirus by putting you into a petri dish that's, nothing but coronavirus, right? So you have jail, dirty-ass jail, dirty-ass, the cops, they're throwing all the criminals in the back seat. They throw them in the back seat. Are they cleaning those back seats? They spraying Lysol and bleach and everything and sanitizing everything. This doesn't help with the coronavirus epidemic. It doesn't help with the freedoms that I have as, an American citizen. So I like that it's voluntary. So essentially it's like, hey, y'all got to do all this shit. And public shame people. Hey, how come you're not doing your part? Okay, that's okay. All that's fine. The problem I have is when you say, hey, you can't do that. Now, if there's a crime that occurred, let's say I walk into the store and I just cough right into the teller's face. People were freaking out during the Spanish flu pandemic in 1917 caused by Woodrow Wilson's World War I. So there's a great thing. Maybe the war, maybe the forever endless wars is the reason why we're spreading this. Maybe that's why we're ground zero for this coronavirus epidemic, of 2020. So during the Spanish flu, 1917, if a person coughed or sneezed, there was ads saying you should consider that an assault, a violent assault worthy of a misdemeanor, because a sneeze can hit a person about 12 foot away. About 12 foot away, so you sneeze, right? You walk in and you cough in someone, so you sneeze in someone's face. Well, now you got a problem. Now you got some sort of an assault. But if nobody coughs or sneezes, I mean, are we allowed to talk? Because basically if you talk and, spittle comes out, and so if you walk in the store and you keep your mouth completely shut, and you get your stuff, you buy it, and you walk the hell out, that's, that's totally fine. What's the problem there? You did your part. The face mask and all that seems like it's common sense. But people are getting fucking crazy about this stupid shit. So Jared Polis' order, he said local authorities, this is quotations, are encouraged to determine the best course of action to encourage maximum compliance. So throw them in jail. Fine them, $1,000, throw them in jail for a year, whatever it fucking takes. You're going to wear your mask. You're going to wash your hands. You're going to have good hygiene. You're only going to go to the local store. You're not going to go fraternizing with your friends. So this is actually kind of boiled to a head because the homosexual Jewish governor of Colorado, Jared Polis, cried. He was actually welling up. He was tearing up when he was called a Nazi by a Republican. House Minority Leader Patrick Neville, a Republican, suggested that Colorado's stay-at-home order could lead to a Gestapo-like mentality during the SARS-CoV-2 pandemic. Jared Polis said he lost his family in the Holocaust, and he's the first Jewish governor, I believe, in America, and the first definitely gay governor in America, which were two groups that the Nazis had targeted. A reporter had asked Jared Polis this question. I'm seeing a lot of rebellion out there against your orders, which have been called tyrannical, being equated to Nazism. How do you react? Jared Polis responds, first of all, as a Jewish American who lost family in the Holocaust, I'm offended by any comparison to Nazism. So far, terrible answer, right? First of all, the whole idea that I'm authoritarian, totalitarian, dictator, that's totally true. But I'm going to, be flabbergasted, and I'm going to be offended. So as a Jewish American who lost family, I mean, he's pretty young looking, he's in his 50s, so he would have lost a great-grandfather or some shit, which is, that's terrible. But I don't know if he could be like, hey, I'm immune from anybody even mentioning the word Hitler or Nazis whatsoever because I'm a Jewish American. So I think so far it's a bad answer. He's not answering the question. And he had, there's a reason. Let's just ask this question. Can Jared Polis be an authoritarian fascist? Can Jared Polis, even though he's Jewish, gay, and at least I'm sure wonderful man, male, white, rich white male, can a rich white male be an authoritarian fascist? Is it possible that a rich white male who's at the top, the head of the government, who assumes a monopoly of state power, is it possible that he could, be an authoritarian, totalitarian, a control freak? Is that possible? Even if the Nazis literally tortured Jared Polis himself, could he turn around and act like the Nazis later on? So because you were tortured by them, like you shouldn't, torment Jewish folks with Nazi taunts just for a laugh. That's fine. But to assume that Jared Polis can't be a hierarchical person, he sits perched on top of state power, and he got there because he was sitting he was perched on top of he was the CEO dog of his profitable corporation, so he was perched on top of corporate power, then he's perched on top of state power. He's Mr. Hierarchy. He's Mr. Totalitarian. He is Mr. Authoritarian, draconian, petty, little tiny bullshit. So we shouldn't torment Jewish folks with just Nazi taunts because that is, victimizing, right? Re-traumatizing. So you have to be cautious with that. It's rhetoric, so it's not saying, hey, you literally are a Nazi, you literally have concentration camps. It's saying you're right-wing authoritarian. So Jared Polis is right. He says that there's a difference between Nazi Germany and Jared Polis's fascism. Jared Polis's fascism, his totalitarian fascism is acting to save lives. This is his own words, the exact opposite of the slaughter of 6 million Jews and many gypsies and Catholics and gays and lesbians and Russians and so many others. By not staying home, by having parties, by congregating, you're not sticking it to the government, you're not sticking it to Jared Polis, you're sticking it to yourself because you're putting yourself and you're putting your loved ones and everybody else in jeopardy. So that's a good, a political science sort of distinctions. First of all, the Nazis were, killing a whole bunch of people, but they're trying to save, Germany. That's some of the rhetoric. So I think the comparison, I think it's fine to ask the question, hey, are you a Nazi? And yeah, you could be offended. I like asking white people the question, what do you think about black people? Because immediately they get, just pissed off. It's an easy question to answer. What do you think about black folks, right? You could be real specific, you could be real general, but, there's an answer, right? So they're cool. Black people are cool. I like black folks. So if that's how easy it is to answer that question, right? I like black folks. So what do you think about black folks? I'm not racist. I didn't ask that. I asked you what you thought about black folks. And so, yeah, to, ask Jared Polis, hey, are you an authoritarian, totalitarian? Perhaps authoritarian and totalitarian fascism doesn't have strong enough of a connotation that people automatically think that those things are bad. What is authoritarian fascist? Totalitarian dictator? Control freak? Well, that's fine. That's okay. A Nazi? He's not a Nazi. Is he a Nazi? So if people would just be outraged that he's authoritarian, totalitarian, control freak, fascist, he's a hierarchical, human being. He believes in oppressing the general public to do his will, to do his, dastardly deeds. Now, he makes a good point. He's trying to save lives, the opposite of, murdering everybody and taking over countries and nations. It is pretty far, to say that, because there's three guys who got arrested in the apartment. Is that like the Nazis? No. I mean, they weren't Jewish, and they weren't like, yelling a bunch of Jewish slurs and epithets and shit. Is it fucking bullshit? It absolutely is fucking bullshit. It is fascism, and they went to jail, so you made the coronavirus, pandemic, you made it worse. You spreaded it. If anything, if it was so damn important, take them back to their goddamn houses. But to take them and put them in jail, lock them up in dirty, I know they haven't been cleaning them jails up. They all take shits right there in front of each other, so they're all probably just coughing on one another. So to think that first you're putting your cops in danger, you're putting, everybody's lives in danger when you arrest people for dumb little petty shit. So there's also the right, we are Americans, and so as long as we are not harming anybody else, our freedom extends infinitely. As much, I can shake my fist. My freedom to shake my fist is in relation to the proximity of your chin. If your chin's way over there, then I could just swing, oh my gosh, all these powers that be, just, oh my goodness. I have the right to shake my fist. And if they say, hey, well, for the coronavirus, that's hooliganism. That's just shaking what are you shaking your fist for? Like you're some powerless old man, who just got robbed and you're shaking it, your fist at the damn, whatever, convertible cruising on down the street. So I think it's bullshit that Jared Polis is insinuating that Jewish folks cannot be fascists themselves. In fact, when it comes to right-wing and left-wing fascism, the Jews should have fought back at the very least, right? Live free or die, motherfuckers. That's just like in New Hampshire. Live free or die. So do you want to die on your knees as slaves or, die as a free man standing up and proud and tall? Like, shit, man, have some pride in yourself. Have some fucking dignity in yourself. Those killed by Hitler should have been met. They should have met the right-wing fascism of Adolf Hitler with left-wing fascism, which is the, fascism of self-defense, the fascism of stopping a violent right-wing fascist from doing their fucking bullshit. So Jared Polis, he's the governor, and Colorado is a modern-day nation-state, which claims a monopoly of violence. Who's got all the violence in the entire world in this state? Your neighbors and people, you can't fight each other, but the cops and the judges and the government, they have all the, they got a monopoly of all the violence. If anybody else uses violence, well, then that's going to be another 10 years on top of, whatever you're being violent for. On top of your robbery, well, you're going to go to jail for another 10 years because you was violent on top of it. So the state claims a monopoly of violence. He's on top of the corporate, the rich plutocrat class. This is the Leviathan plutocracy. I like Jared Polis. He's been pretty liberal. I haven't paid very close attention to him. But I don't hate what he's doing. But I do think we should check Jared Polis to make sure he doesn't go over and beyond his authoritarianism. Sure, people got to do what they got to do, and you can't hurt other people. But if I'm not doing anything that's harming anybody whatsoever, I don't see how you could say, that's total bullshit. Jared Polis, he gives several press conferences without face mask and shit. Is anybody going to arrest Jared Polis if he, walks outside to get his mail, say, without his face mask? If he doesn't wash his hands for 20 seconds, is he going to get arrested? And so if he doesn't get arrested and other people will, that's hypocrisy and that's some bullshit. Rule of law says, nobody's above the law. Nobody's above the law. So what bothers me about him saying, okay, he could be offended, but he's like, as a Jewish American, how dare you? You can't say Hitler or Nazi. You got to be, very selective. You can't just taunt people. But that's like, he's kind of being like reverse sexist or anti-Semitic or racist or something. He's, by saying that only the Jewish race, the Jewish religion, can't be accused of Nazism. So Christians, they could be Nazis, right? Wasn't he a Christian? Muslims, Buddhist, Voodoo, Satanist, all the other religions in the world that aren't, the chosen people like the Jews, they could be accused of Nazism, but nobody else can. I think actually that's very dangerous. Look at Israel. So Jews were definitely the oppressed in Nazi Germany, no doubt about it. And it was fucking bullshit and it's disgusting. And Jews should have, they should have security just like anybody else. Any religious people should. But religion is the opiate of the masses. It's, it's kind of insane that, you claim a religion is supposed to say that you're, good at morals or ethics, so that you got character, and all it tells me is that you got a mental illness. You think there's an invisible man up in the clouds? Up there? He's looking down on all of us all the time, huh? Just watching all these wars and all this craziness. He's the one that, just watch this virus just kind of take us. Is he laughing? Is he enjoying all this? Is this like, is he enjoying the shit show that, the Earth, the shit show that's called Earth? Is he enjoying that show? So, okay, you're a religious person. You got a mental illness. I'm not Hitler. You can have a mental illness. You got the right to, religion. You have the freedom to express yourself. So I'm not going to, say that you deserve to go to the gallows, but I will, insult you and say you're fucking dumb as shit because you believe in, religion. And last but not least, look at Israel. Look at Israel. Jews were definitely the oppressed in Nazi Germany, but who are the oppressors and who are the oppressed right now when it comes to the Palestinians and to the State of Israel? The State of Israel, which they consider themselves a theocracy, they're a Jewish nation, which, how come they can't be like America, be a pluralistic, multicultural society? You have freedom of religion, but not Israel. No, they're a theocracy. So they're going to go ahead and say that, yes, you can have religious, controlled states, not Muslim-controlled states, but you can have Jewish-controlled. No religious. They're all bad. It's a bad idea. Freedom of religion for all nations is terrible. But anyways, Israel's a Jewish nation, and they're oppressing the Palestinian people. Clear as day, apartheid government. They count every single calorie that goes into Palestine. They lock them out, checkpoint here, checkpoint there. And with the Hamas or the government or somebody fights them or attacks them in self-defense, then they just shell them, indiscriminately, killing children and elderly, and lots of innocent people. So is it possible that Jewish people can, hurt other people? Yeah, it's possible. It's Christians, Muslims, Buddhists, atheists. All people can hurt other people. And so I think that it's all upon, the crime. It's all, it's all about the specific incident that had happened. So 3 guys went into an apartment. That's nothing to go to jail over. That's nothing to go to jail over. Wearing face mask, I think that's probably, if we're talking and we could spit and spittle, that's where, so I could see the logic of it. And so I think it's good voluntarily, I think you should do it on your own accord. But if you do, talk and spit, or if you're saying something or doing something or coughing or sneezing, then they could arrest you for that. That's an assault, right? And I don't think that's too crazy to think, at this point in time that it could be. I mean, what the fuck? You trying to give me your goddamn fucking coronavirus? So yeah, him being a Jewish governor, I like that he's a Jewish governor. I like that he's a homosexual governor. I like that he's unique and interesting, and therefore he can understand what it feels like to be part of the oppressed. And so hopefully he fights for the liberation of everybody and not just oppressing. Because, here's one last thing, to consider. Yeah, to stop the coronavirus, stay at home, to, flatten the curve. But what if that doesn't work? What if people continue to die of the coronavirus? And we're going to have to, stay at home forever and ever? We have to work to pay our bills. 80% of Americans work paycheck to paycheck. So what about the economy? We're looking at a Great Depression with the unemployment numbers, 22 million. All we need is, another 19 million in its Great Depression numbers. We're way on track. We are we are on a fast track to the Great Depression right now. And so how are people going to make money? You're going to make everybody stay home. They can't go to their businesses. They can't, work at their jobs. They can't make money how they were before. So we have to come up with brand new businesses and brand new industries where we stay 6 feet away from one another and don't interact with anybody. We got to figure out how to make money, and that kind of money is going to be dirty too. So we're going to have to figure out how to exchange money without exchanging money, and without being around other people. We have to figure out how to sell goods and services. We got to learn how to make money in this great depression. So we're going to need some freedom to be able to do so. So I think that's going to have to be addressed. If we're not going to get a universal basic income, then that means we're fucked, and we have to get a job soon, and we got to start working soon, because without universal basic income, we are fucked as a people, as a nation. So just putting all this